Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at koreanclass101.com.
Top 10 hardest words to pronounce. 경찰청, police department. 경찰청, police department. So I think it's because CH sound, like when it's placed next to each other, I think it's going to make the word not easy to pronounce. 경찰청, 경찰청. And it also has 이응, 응 sound at the end of each character. So 경찰청. 경찰청 청창살은 왜 청창살이냐 쌀청창살이냐 something like that. 경찰청 철창살은 왜 철창살이냐 쌍철찰상이냐. But you know, like Korean people also have the hard time to read this word correctly when it's in the middle of the sentence. 교통사고가 나서 경찰청에 갔습니다. Which means I had a car accident, so I went to the police department. 계획, plan. 계획, plan. I think when it has double vowel like OE of 획, it's not heck, it has to be 획. That is the one making this word not easy to pronounce. So make sure that you say 계획, not 계획. So with the word you can say 이번 여름에는 제주도에 갈 계획입니다. Which means this summer I have a plan to go to Jeju Island. 과일, fruit. 과일, fruit. This one also has the double vowel, 과. So it's not 가. It should be 과, 과. So with the word you can say 과일을 사러 경찰청 앞에 있는 슈퍼마켓에 갔습니다. Which means I went to a supermarket in front of the police department to buy fruits. 귀여운, cute. 귀여운, cute. It should be 귀, not 기. So 귀여운. So as a slang, we sometimes say 귀여운. Instead of saying 귀, we say 기 to make it sound a little bit more cute. You know, when you talk in a formal situation, you have to make sure that you say 귀, not 기, 귀여운. And if you know the word 귀염둥이, which means darling or cutie, you can say 우리 귀염둥이는 정말 귀엽습니다, which means my darling is very cute. 똑똑한, smart. 똑똑한, smart. So let me give you 3 examples. 똑똑한, 톡톡한. Can you see the differences? For Korean, it sounds totally different between each other. So 똑똑한 has double the sound. So make sure that you read it correctly. You might need to practice a little bit more and say 똑똑한. You cannot say 똑똑한. You cannot say 톡톡한. You have to say 똑똑한. Don't worry if you cannot see the differences yet. You master that if you watch Korean pronunciation series. So you can say 내 동생은 매우 똑똑합니다, which means my younger brother is very smart. 맛있다, delicious. 맛있다, delicious. So it's okay because even some Korean people sometimes just by mistake say 맛있다, but actually the correct pronunciation is 맛있다. So you can say 너가 만든 음식은 정말 맛있다. The food that you made are so delicious. You can say 남대문 시장에 가면 맛있는 음식을 쉽게 먹을 수 있습니다, which means when you go to 남대문 market, you can try delicious food easily. 사람, person. But it should be a little bit softer S sound and say 사람. So it shouldn't be 사람. So with the word you can say 사람이 많은 곳에는 가고 싶지 않습니다, which means I don't want to go to a crowded place. So crowded place in Korean can be said 사람이 많은 곳, which literally means the place which has a lot of people. And this word can be plural, so you can simply say 저는 똑똑한 사람을 좋아합니다, which means I like smart people. 사랑, love. 사랑, love. The same thing, like you have to say 사랑 with a softer S, not 사랑. And make sure that you pronounce 응 sound correctly. 사랑, not 사랑, 사람, or something else. 사랑. So you can say 저는 사랑하는 사람이 생겼습니다, which means I recently got someone whom I love. And also you can say 사랑하는 사람을 저는 귀염둥이라고 부릅니다, which means I call the someone whom I love as 귀염둥이. 일요일, Sunday. 일요일, Sunday. When the word has the same syllable at the beginning and at the end at the same time, it's not easy to pronounce. For example, 일요일. 일요일. If you read it syllable by syllable, you can say 일요일. But when you say it as a one word, you have to connect it together and say 일요일. So you can say 일요일에 경찰청에 갔습니다. On Sunday, I went to a police department. Or 일요일에 과일을 사러 슈퍼마켓에 갔습니다. Which means on Sunday, I went to a supermarket to buy fruits. 철창살, grill bar. 철창살, grill bar. Okay, that would be the hardest word that I also feel like it's not easy for me to pronounce. So 철창살, it also has two CH sounds, so it should be not easy to pronounce. And especially this word, we use the same long phrase to practice it with the 경찰청. So let me try that again. 경찰청 철창살은 왜 철창살이냐, 쌍철찰상이냐. And also we have another one with these words. For example, 중앙철 창살은 쌍철살이고 시청의 창살은 외철살이다. But I can also read it correctly. This is that much hard. So if you want to find a good tongue twister in Korean, this is the word that you can pick.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. Korean is referred to as a syllable-timed language. What this means is that the syllables in Korean follow each other at regular intervals, usually with the same amount of time allocated for each syllable.
고마워요. 고마워요.
Each syllable is pronounced for an equal amount of time.
고마워요.
Since Korean is a syllable-timed language, there is no word stress. English, on the other hand, is a stress-timed language. Syllables that are stressed are valued greater than syllables that are unstressed. Individual. The stressed syllable vi in individual is deemed more important, so it's pronounced longer than all other syllables. Listen to it again. Individual. This gives English a Morse code-like rhythm, where the pace is sometimes fast and at other times slow. Compare this once again with Korean, which is even throughout.
고마워요.
Individual.
고마워요. 고마워요.
When pronouncing Korean words, focus on giving equal time to each syllable as you say the characters out loud. There are 10 basic vowel sounds in Korean, which are used to create a total of 21 vowel sound combinations. Let's take a look at how some of the basic vowels are pronounced.
아, 어, 오, 우, 으, 이.
There are also iotized vowel sounds in Korean. This simply means that there's an added Y sound.
야, 여, 요, 유.
Finally, there are diphthongs, which are two vowels pronounced closely together to form a gliding sound.
와, 워.
These are some of the basic vowel sounds in Korean. There are 14 basic consonants that produce a total 19 consonant sounds in Korean. All of these sounds are categorized into nasal, plain, aspirated, or tense sounds. You can think of these categories as going from soft to harder sounding consonants. Nasal consonants are consonant sounds which are pronounced through the nose. These consist of M, N, and NG type sounds.
느, 무, 으.
Plain consonant sounds are called that because they do not have special features added to them. Think of the T sound in stand or the P sound in span.
그, 드, 브, 스, 즈.
Aspirated consonant sounds, on the other hand, have an added turbulent sound. These sounds are like the English T sounds in tuck or take or the P in puck.
크, 트, 프, 츠, 흐.
Aspirated sounds are pronounced with a big burst of air, unlike plain sounds which do not have this quality. Compare the two categories of sounds.
그, 크, 느, 트, 브, 프.
Tense consonants, also known as double consonants, are pronounced with a stiffer voice. More pressure is built up and it's released much more quickly than plain sounds.
끄, 뜨, 뿌, 스, 즈.
Korean has a handful of sounds that are similar to English. They're not identical, however, so don't make the mistake of pronouncing them as such.
One of the most unique sounds in Korean is the consonant ryul. 르.
This consonant is often romanized as an R or an L, but there isn't an equivalent sound in English.
라마.
This sound is actually somewhere between an L and an R sound. When pronouncing this sound, your tongue should strike the gum ridge behind your upper teeth in a quick, rapid motion. Listen and repeat after J.
르. 르. 라마. 라마.
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Korean is a syllable-timed language. You also learned the different categories for vowel and consonant sounds in Korean. And you discovered that there are some consonant sounds which do not have an English equivalent.
Want to get cheat sheets, audiobooks, lessons, apps, and much more every month for free? Just click the link in the description to get your free language gifts of the month.
The question for this lesson is, how do you say the vowels O and U correctly? These two vowels sound similar, so they can be a little tricky to pronounce. The vowel O sounds like a very round O, like in the words oval and orange. The vowel U sounds more likely the U sound in the words moon and room. Let's break it down with some examples so you can hear the difference between O and U more clearly. Let's take the word 공, which means bowl in Korean. 공 has the vowel O, which makes the round O sound. Now, let's take another word, 궁, which usually means palace. This word has the U vowel. It's going to have more of an U sound. A good way to practice these vowels is by alternating between them while repeating, like this. 공, 궁, 공, 궁. Can you hear the difference? Let's do one more example. The word 오후, meaning afternoon, has both the O and U vowels. Once you have mastered saying 공 and 궁, try repeating the word 오후 and see how you sound. The question for this lesson is, what is the correct pronunciation of 으? There's no English equivalent for this sound, so it may be a little difficult to pronounce. The vowel 으 has the same tone position as the Korean vowel U, but the shape of your mouth is wider. You may find it easier to compare it to the E sound in the words broken and eaten, or the O sound in the word button. One insider tip is to pull your lips wide to the sides and expose your bottom teeth as you say 으. It may seem silly at first, but you'll get the hang of it. Let's break it down with some examples so you can understand the pronunciation of 으 more easily. Let's use the word 하늘, meaning sky, as an example. Many people mispronounce the last syllable as 눌, so be careful. Let's say the word 하늘. Another example is the word 크다, which means to be big. Again, be careful with the first syllable. It's not pronounced like 크. Listen one more time. 크다. One last example is the word 가르치다, meaning to teach. One more time, it's not pronounced 가르치다, but 가르치다. Again, this vowel 으 is much wider than the vowel 우. Listen one more time slowly. 가르치다. Because the Korean vowel 으 doesn't exist in English, it can be difficult to distinguish when you hear Korean. Please listen carefully to the pronunciation of native speakers to completely understand how this vowel is pronounced. How do you pronounce the consonants 시옷 and 쌍시옷? Sometimes Korean characters change the sound depending on their placement in the word. 시옷 and 쌍시옷 are both good examples. Let's go over how to pronounce 시옷 and 쌍시옷 correctly. When 시옷 is at the beginning of a word, it makes an s sound. When it's the final consonant in Korean 받침, it changes to a t sound. When 쌍시옷 is at the beginning of a word, it makes a s sound. But when it's in the 받침 position, it also changes to a t sound. Let's see some examples so you can hear how they sound. In the Korean word 사랑, which means love, the 시옷 is at the beginning of the word. Therefore, it's pronounced as 스. Here's an example with 시옷 as the final consonant. In the word 맛, meaning taste, the 시옷 is in the 받침 position, so it's pronounced as 트. Now, let's take a look at some examples with 상시옷. The word 쓰다, which means to write, begins with 상시옷. So, the beginning of the word has a s sound. Another example would be 있다, which is the Korean word for the verb to be. Here, the 상시옷 is in the 받침 position, so it's pronounced as to. Here's a quick tip. Sometimes the rules for 받침 sounds change, so make sure to check out our 하나하나 한글 videos at koreanclass101.com to find out more about 받침 rules.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. Korean is referred to as a syllable-timed language. What this means is that the syllables in Korean follow each other at regular intervals, usually with the same amount of time allocated for each syllable.
고마워요. 고마워요.
Each syllable is pronounced for an equal amount of time.
고마워요.
Since Korean is a syllable-timed language, there is no word stress. English, on the other hand, is a stress-timed language. Syllables that are stressed are valued greater than syllables that are unstressed. Individual. The stressed syllable vi in individual is deemed more important, so it's pronounced longer than all other syllables. Listen to it again. Individual. This gives English a Morse code-like rhythm, where the pace is sometimes fast and at other times slow. Compare this once again with Korean, which is even throughout.
고마워요.
Individual.
고마워요. 고마워요.
When pronouncing Korean words, focus on giving equal time to each syllable as you say the characters out loud. There are 10 basic vowel sounds in Korean, which are used to create a total of 21 vowel sound combinations. Let's take a look at how some of the basic vowels are pronounced.
아, 어, 오, 우, 으, 이.
There are also iotized vowel sounds in Korean. This simply means that there's an added Y sound.
야, 여, 요, 유.
Finally, there are diphthongs, which are two vowels pronounced closely together to form a gliding sound.
와, 워.
These are some of the basic vowel sounds in Korean. There are 14 basic consonants that produce a total 19 consonant sounds in Korean. All of these sounds are categorized into nasal, plain, aspirated, or tense sounds. You can think of these categories as going from soft to harder sounding consonants. Nasal consonants are consonant sounds which are pronounced through the nose. These consist of M, N, and NG type sounds.
느, 무, 으.
Plain consonant sounds are called that because they do not have special features added to them. Think of the T sound in stand or the P sound in span.
그, 드, 브, 스, 즈.
Aspirated consonant sounds, on the other hand, have an added turbulent sound. These sounds are like the English T sounds in tuck or take or the P in puck.
크, 트, 프, 츠, 흐.
Aspirated sounds are pronounced with a big burst of air, unlike plain sounds which do not have this quality. Compare the two categories of sounds.
그, 크, 느, 트, 브, 프.
Tense consonants, also known as double consonants, are pronounced with a stiffer voice. More pressure is built up and it's released much more quickly than plain sounds.
끄, 뜨, 쁘, 스, 즈.
Korean has a handful of sounds that are similar to English. They're not identical, however, so don't make the mistake of pronouncing them as such.
One of the most unique sounds in Korean is the consonant 리을. 르.
This consonant is often romanized as an R or an L, but there isn't an equivalent sound in English.
라마.
This sound is actually somewhere between an L and an R sound. When pronouncing this sound, your tongue should strike the gum ridge behind your upper teeth in a quick, rapid motion. Listen and repeat after J.
르, 르, 라마, 라마.
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Korean is a syllable-timed language. You also learned the different categories for vowel and consonant sounds in Korean. And you discovered that there are some consonant sounds which do not have an English equivalent. You've decided to study a new language. So now what? Well, you want to become fluent fast, right? Here are the top 5 shortcuts to learning a language. Number 1. Create a study schedule and set some goals. Many language learners are unorganized. Creating a schedule allows you to free up time to study consistently. Goals give you motivation and something to strive for. Number 2. Make it fun. If you learn how to make your study time enjoyable, chances are you'll be more inclined to study. Watch a TV show with subtitles or listen to some music. Number 3. Find a language partner. This is the best way to improve your conversation skills. It will help you gain fluency even faster and increase confidence when speaking. Number 4. Use word lists to build up a solid vocabulary. This is a great way to build up your fluency, one word at a time. Luckily, we have all the word lists you need, with a range of topics, from food to love. Choose whichever language you want to study and go. Number 5. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Nothing helps you improve more than correcting your own errors. You're more likely to remember it correctly the next time around. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't be afraid to learn from them. There's no magical way to learn a new language overnight, but doing all of these can really help your learning process. And remember, if you're interested in getting on the fast track to fluency, sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. Start learning now. In this first lesson, you'll learn 2 key points for mastering Korean pronunciation. The first key point is to master the pronunciation of 24 basic Korean letters. The Korean alphabet has 14 basic consonants and 10 basic vowels. 1 letter represents each of these sounds. These are then written out in blocks to form each syllable. Here's a sample character. This block has 2 letters, one on top and one at the bottom. The letter on top is the consonant N. Below it is the vowel U. Combined, you read the block NU. Listen to the native Korean speaker.
네, 우, 누.
You can add another letter to the bottom of this block. Compare the top and bottom letters. Can you read the block? The bottom letter is the N sound, just like the top letter. Combining these with the vowel in the middle, you pronounce the whole block nun, which means I in Korean. You will see many different block arrangements in Korean. But once you master the pronunciation of the 24 basic letters, you can read any of these blocks in Korean. The second key point is, each syllable in Korean is pronounced for the same length of time with equal stress. For example, when you say camera in English, you put stress on ka and say it for longer than the other syllables of the word. Camera. But in Korean, each syllable is pronounced for the same amount of time and gets equal stress. Listen to the word camera in Korean.
카메라,
This principle applies throughout the entire sentence, not just for individual words. Listen to the Korean sentence.
이것은 카메라입니다.
Now to close this lesson, here's a question for you. Why should you, including advanced speakers, spend time on learning proper pronunciation? The answer? You will be understood, and this will help you build more confidence as you communicate in Korean. For beginners, you're on the path to learning proper pronunciation. And for more advanced students, this is a chance to finally master Korean pronunciation. In this lesson, you'll learn the top 5 Korean pronunciation mistakes to avoid. Number 1. Using the same pitch for the last syllable in a sentence. When speaking Korean, make sure to lower the pitch of the last syllable in the sentence. Listen to an example.
고마워.
She kept the same pitch for the first and second syllable, but lowered the tone for the last syllable. Listen to another example.
사랑해요. 사랑해요.
Number 2. Pronouncing imported words with a foreign accent. Listen to a word that is commonly used in Korean.
컴퓨터.
Can you guess what it means? It's the word for computer. It sounds similar to its English counterpart, but there are important differences. If you pronounced it like you would in English, it would be hard to understand. Listen to 2 other examples.
오렌지. 하트.
The difference in pronunciation may sound small to you, but unless you say them with a native Korean accent, Koreans won't understand what you mean. Number 3. Overstressing syllables when speaking Korean. Try saying this English sentence out loud. I like bulgogi. Pay attention to the stresses. If you pronounce sentences like this in Korean, it will sound very unnatural. Listen to the native speaker say this sentence in Korean.
불고기가 좋아요.
Native speakers do not place stress on any particular syllable. Try saying the sentence without stressing syllables.
불고기가 좋아요.
Number 4. Using an R sound. This letter is often represented as an R or an L, but you do not pronounce it this way. In fact, there is no equivalent sound in English for it. Listen to a word that uses this letter.
사랑. 사랑.
It sounds closer to an L than an R in English. Listen again carefully.
사랑. 사랑.
We'll learn more about this in Lesson 6, so don't worry about it too much. Number 5. Reading batchim as they are written. When reading blocks of Korean letters, you'll often find one written at the bottom of a block, like this one. This position is called batchim, and letters in this position sometimes follow different pronunciation rules. Usually, a letter's pronunciation remains constant. When it is in the batchim position, however, it sometimes changes. In this case, the letter, which is usually an S sound, becomes a T sound. Listen to the native speaker pronounce the letter in 2 different blocks. In the second one, she will pronounce it in the batchim position.
삭.
This principle applies to all consonants, except for a special group of nasal ones. Whenever these consonants are placed in the batchim position, you will need to pronounce them differently. Here's another example. This letter usually makes an H sound. In the batchim position, you need to read it as T. Listen to the native speaker. In this block, the letter appears both in the top and in the batchim position.
핫. 핫.
We'll cover this in greater detail in Lesson 10. In this lesson, you'll learn how to pronounce Korean vowels correctly. Do you remember there are 10 basic vowels in Korean? In this lesson, you're going to learn 7 vowels that sound similar to vowels in English. Here's the first vowel.
아.
Open your mouth wide as if you were at the dentist and relax your tongue. Then try to say ah.
아. 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 아.
The next vowel is
오.
think of the O sound in orange. Round the lips as if you're surprised.
오. 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 오.
And the next vowel is
우.
purse your lips as though you are about to whistle or blow up a balloon, or say ooh as in blue.
우. 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 우.
The lips are more relaxed for the Korean oo sound than the English oo. Compare the Korean oo with the English oo.
우,
Oo. The next vowel is
이,
open your mouth as if you were trying to show your teeth and say the letter E. Say it like the E in meat, but shorter.
이, 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 이.
Now, review the 4 vowels that we've just learned so far. Repeat each vowel after hearing the pronunciation from our native speaker.
아, 아, 오, 오, 우, 우, 이, 이.
Okay, now let's move on. The next 3 vowels you will learn look like this. These 3 vowels look very similar to the ones that you just learned. The only difference is that they each have an extra stroke attached to them. Listen to how the pronunciation of the vowels change when the small stroke is added.
아, 야,
This small stroke adds a Y sound to the beginning of the original sound. Compare the pronunciation of these 2 letters once again.
아, 야,
When you say this letter, don't pronounce the Y sound for too long. Listen to the pronunciation again.
야, 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 야,
The next vowel is
유,
take the original oo sound and add a Y to make you. Together, they sound almost the same as you in English, but with a shorter Y.
유, 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 유,
And the next vowel is,
요,
again, add a short Y sound to the O. Listen to the pronunciation again.
요, 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 요.
Now, review the 3 basic vowels that have Y at the beginning. Repeat each vowel after hearing the pronunciation from our native speaker.
야, 야, 유, 유, 요, 요.